So we can move on to our guest speakers here. Our guest speakers tonight are Wes and Sue Earp. They're here to talk to us about birding Idaho's Snake River Plain. Wes and Sue have been Bird Club members since the 80s. Wes was a past club president and recipient of the MLS Valued Service Award. Sue has contributed these fabulous pictures to the club's annual Potluck website, the Waterford Flats ID book. Frequenting hawk watches is one of their favorite birding pastimes, and when home they enjoy managing their flora to attract and feed birds naturally year-round like the Nashville warbler. Anyway, it's over to you, Wes and Sue.
So how is everybody? You're gonna listen to me tonight, and Sue's gonna take a seat. She's quality control, so if you hear some mumbling up here, it's her correcting me, okay? I'll botch something here sooner or later, so let's get going here. Go ahead. Where'd Mary Lou get to? Mary Lou, third time's the charm, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's our third attempt at this, and hopefully we'll get through it. And in 1919, listen to me. In 2012, Sue and I took a trip out to Twin Falls. And at the time, we hardly knew what the Snake River Plain was. We had no concept or clue. And what drew us there were the natural springs that exist along the Snake River and not birds. Sometime later, Mary Lou twisted my arm so strongly that I gave in and agreed to give you all a talk on our trip. Well, there we go. Let's go this way. And at the time, if I'd given that talk, it would have looked like this, which is a lava field with.
Back up, hang on a second. No, you're not going, it's on a slideshow. Let me figure out how to do this. Exit slideshow.
Did I do that?
All right, we'll just do it this way. Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the lava. Okay.
Oh, there we are. So we had information about the geology of the area, the groundwater of the area, and a little bit on birds. I don't know if you can see it or not. There is a pigeon in that picture. Did everyone see the pigeon?
Yes.
So the talk approached, and we realized our dilemma, because this is the bird club. We decided to go back out there. And let me apologize to any geologists in the room right now, because when we do this portion of the talk, I'm going to take 14 million years and compress it into 10. So at any rate, moving along, we went back out in September of 2019, just before the talk, looking for birds. And we did a whirlwind tour of the central area of the Snake River Plain, western meadowlark here in full cry, and came home with realization that we were still deficient in what we had to present, but we were going to do it anyway. Well, then the deficiency we had was that there is one major birding place out there on the Snake River Plain, and it's known as the Morley Nelson Snake River Birds of Prey Conservation Area. And I won't say that again correctly. So we've been there, but we had been there at the wrong time of year. And we had not much to show for that, but we were going to give the talk anyway. And then COVID set in, the talk was canceled. And
Excuse me, but we're okay. We're just seeing.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you.
What are we working on?
Sharing the slides. How's that?
That's good. That's good. Excellent.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Western Meadowlark. So
Microsoft.
we put the talk to rest, and it became a moot point, the problem with it. And Mary Lou's memory is better than mine, and she remembered that we'd agreed to give a talk, so not too long ago, she asked we give it again. And we were obligated, so, but she did it early enough that we were able to deal with our deficit, so to speak. And in late April, early May of 2024, we went back out there and
Just a second.
in just a second.
Okay, now you can work. I'm sorry, Wes.
Sorry, John. We had a different experience in Morley Nelson. Snake River Birds of Prey National Conservation Area. This is a Rufus morph Swainson's hawk. So completely different experience. And the 3 trips out there basically constitute 3 parts of our talk. So we're going to talk about the Snake River and its formation, the Snake River Plain, excuse me, very quickly. We're going to look at a number of different, about a dozen different birding sites, but not in depth because it was just too much of a whirlwind. And we're going to take a really in-depth look at the Morley Nelson Conservation Area. So what is the Snake River Plain? Well, it's used to say what it's not. It's not the Snake River floodplain. The Snake River is on this steppe, or in this steppe, I should say. It's there principally because of the orientation of the steppe. The steppe is there because of the orientation of the Snake River. It's plays a minor role really in the formation of the plain and the features that we're going to be looking at. It is rolling. It's got some basalt outcroppings here and there. As you can see them scattered about the plain. It's very expansive, and I'll show you in a minute. And not a lot of habitat there. It's not, the vegetation tends to be knee-high to waist-high in the portions we've been in, and it can be pretty sparse. If you look to the south, from the middle section, you're looking at the Oahe Mountains mountain range, and if you look to the north, you're looking at the Boise Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. And a satellite view of the plain. Oh, here we go. Everybody got the. All right, let's doing that.
Back.
We're going backwards, so I need to go back.
I'll go backwards
I'm pushing
before you.
backwards.
I got it.
Okay, here we go. Everybody see?
slideshow.
Whoa, right there.
All right, yes.
Every time I push the red dot, it advances.
Yeah, it's turning into slideshow mode. Exit slideshow.
Okay. Forgive me, I'm not going to try to use the pointer. The comma, I'm going to leave my position right there. Everybody see the comma on its back? Well, that is the east and west portions of the Snake River Plain. Very long, expansive, wide, and as you can see, it's a flat. Oh, okay, there we go. Whoa.
That's not eye safe, so be careful.
I know, I was gonna say, we're gonna burn the place down. Right there. Okay, it's relatively flat compared to what's north and south of it. Obviously, I had never, ever noticed it in this position in the Rockies until I found this photograph, all right? Obviously, it looks out of place. It is, and there's a reason for it. And we will be discussing that briefly. All right, and the reason lies under Yellowstone National Park, which lies at the eastern end of the Snake River Plain in Wyoming. And this is the Great Fountain. I needed something to highlight the fact that there's a hot spot under Yellowstone that has also been under a major portion of the Snake River Plain. In fact, this graphic shows the approximate path of the North American plate over that hot spot. And you would think that in a simpler world, the plate would have arced over the hot spot, creating the combo, but that's not the case, that's ever that simple. But it is the presence of that hot spot that has kept the mountain ridges, mountain formation processes at bay and given us the flat plane that we have. In fact, what it did do, rather than uplift the mountains, is it covered the plain with basalt. And the red on the screen, you can see the state of Idaho plain, of course, being right here. And the red are basalt beds, which are dozens to hundreds of feet thick. And that's a significant part of this story, at least for our 2012 trip at any rate. So when basalt cools in a uniform condition, it forms six-sided columns and they shrink. So they create a very porous bedrock. All right, and that bedrock is very thirsty, if you will. It takes in water very readily. And at the eastern end of the plain, here's Idaho Falls, and I haven't oriented you yet. Twin Falls is down here. This is center of the bend of the plain. Yellowstone's up here. The rivers and streams flowing out of the Rockies, there's 4, 5, or 6 of them, Canvas Creek here, flow into an area where they disappear. They go down into that basalt. The plain falls about 3,000 feet from the north end down to an area known as Thousand Springs. And this was the area that attracted us in 2012. We stayed in Twin Falls and we explored the area around Thousand Springs, which is a state park. The water, because of this fall in this direction, the water entering the basalt up here flows southwesterly down to obviously where the Thousand Spring area is. The Snake River, as you see, flowing here, and that is part of the story that I'm going to try to convey to you. This is the Camas National Wide Refuge in the area where the water actually disappears, and we'll be taking a brief look at that. Some of the birds we saw there. Big flat area, a lot of wetlands and what have you, and an interesting area to start with. Now, I've got to stop or move us apart from the story of the basalt and its porosity. And this is the Great Salt Lake 20,000 years ago. There was a different lake there. It's known as Lake Bonneville. It's gone. It was basically the size of Lake Michigan. I forgot to show you on the satellite photograph was the Great Basin, but it filled the basin. The basin, being a basin, didn't have an outlet. About 18,000 years ago, the basin filled up. The low rim of the basin was in Red Rock Pass, which is right here. Red Rock Pass was not solid stone. It was alluvial or sediments that had filled it in, and it blew out at Red Rock Pass. And the calamity of that failure is, there's no way to grasp it. It just, the only way I can do is describe it is to tell you that they believe that the lake dropped 400 feet anywhere from a month to a year. All right, now the blue up here is the area, basically approximate area that impacted by the flood. But the main point is that the flood reached the Snake River and followed the Snake River channel. Now, at the time, the Snake River channel wasn't very deep. It was there. It was lying on the top of a basalt bedrock. The springs, I assume, were there, but they were boiling up into the Snake River in this shallow condition. The force of the water, the sheer energy that was released, moved boulders the size of our cars. These are what are known as melon gravel. And there are beds of these that became an abrasive material moved by that flood. They literally lowered the river hundreds of feet into a gorge. This is the Snake River Gorge now. Here is the Snake River, of course, and the black walls of the basalt that I've been telling you about.
Just tell us to advance. Would that
Oh,
be
really?
better?
Yeah.
Would that be better? Or-
Well, at some point, we're gonna move away from using that pointer. I think we'll be all right.
All right.
But, yeah, bear with me here. It basically cut out Shoshone Falls at Twin Falls. This is rhyolite underneath the basalt. You can see the basalt rims around it. And the outcome of this flood was resulted in the carving of this very deep gorge. And okay, so back to 2012, we're looking for springs, and the carving of the river down into the rhyolite left the basalt in some places high above the river itself, and along with that, the groundwater that was in it. So there are places where water seeps out of the bluff. This is the wall of the canyon. You can see the central pivot irrigation on top where they're pumping water out of the ground. But there's a whole industry along the river here based on this elevated source of water. And we'll take a closer look at this in a minute, but this is an aquaculture operation. There's recreation. This is a park, Snake River here, of course. And there's actually places where they built walls along this wall to collect the water and drop it down a pipe for hydroelectricity. So all along the length of the Thousand Springs area, there's development of this elevated source of clean water. Now, this is a blow of that white puff I was showing you earlier there on in the cutout there on the bluff. And when we were there in 2012, we came back with a little shot of it. This is Niagara Springs. Several of them are named. I mistakenly thought there were 3 of the world's largest springs were found here. That's not the case. It's some odd thing like 11 of the top 65 in North America are found here. But this is an example of our original attraction. It's also responsible for a lot of the vegetation and habitat that you find in an otherwise very arid area. Now, the downcutting of the river is significant to our interest because it not only did 2 things. It released these springs and this water trapped in the basalt, but it also created nesting habitat for birds. And typically for us traveling out west, cliff swallows are everywhere. They're no different here. This is the drive down into Shoshone's falls at the base, but the evident activity there. And you can actually get quite close to the colony to see their activity. Typical cliff swallow activity on the walls of the gorge. But more importantly to us, the raptors found this habitat ideal. And this is a prairie falcon, young of the year. I guess it hasn't fledged yet. You can, falcons will eject their excrement over the sides of their nests. In this case, you can see the streaking from this chick doing the same. And the nests are not readily evident, but at Celebration Park, downriver, there is a, I'll say famous, but well-known bald eagle lineage that uses the wall across the river. Golden eagle, excuse me. You'll hear that sea straightening me out. Golden eagle standing here, and the nest is right here. So this is the reason for the Morley Nelson Snake River Birds of Prey Conservation Area. This is one other component that we'll discuss briefly. So we've been there, looked at the geology of, or I say, looked at the results of the geology, enjoyed the springs, what have you. Did a little bit of birding, came back, realized we were a little bit shy on birds for this talk. So Sue found a wonderful reference. Got it with me if anyone wants to take a look at it. Idaho Birding Trail. It's a standing document in terms of for not any novice that wants to bird Idaho. This is the southwest region that they break it down by regions. You can see the arc there, which happens to be the Snake River Plain. Twin Falls, our original kickoff spot was right there. When we went back, we stayed in Boise, specifically Meridian, just southwest of Boise. And we visited about a dozen of these locations. Now, everyone's numbered. They all have a page or two devoted to them. And when you arrive at the location, they've also got a sign telling you which one it is. And this is Ted Trueblood's wildlife management area, which we'll take a look at momentarily. So get you oriented here, so you have an idea of where we went and stayed. Idaho Falls, Twin Falls, were the Thousand Springs area, and here's Boise up here. We stayed in Boise, and a dozen or so spots that we looked at are in this area here. Now, that lava I showed you is Craters of the Moon National Monument. If you're looking for pigeons, that's a place to go. Otherwise, not the place to be. We're going to take a quick look at Camas. That was a stopover in another trip where we passed through the plain, and we're going to take a look at that next. Down here, this is the Bonneville Lake flood, came through here, and the gorge actually comes downriver through this area here. So upriver, the gorge is absent, as well as the western end of the lake, where that's more deposition of the sediment than there was down cutting. So any of the major cities, towns, I should say towns, have urban parks associated with them. This is Wilson Springs, the state fish hatchery next by. If you've got a morning to kill or an afternoon to kill, something like that, it's very close to Meridian. And the interesting thing about it, the loop walk's only about a third mile long. The ponds are fairly small, but it draws some birds you wouldn't normally expect. A double-crested cormorant here preying osprey with a fish. We're not sure whether it came from the fish hatchery or the springs, but the typical osprey seen there. We had cedar waxwing and Cooper's hawk and kestrel and not too many passerines when we walked it the first time, but a lot of activity there for a very small urban park. Male wood duck in non-breeding plumage, which really nice red eye there. Bill is in multicolored as well. Okay, if you go the other way, and that's southwest of Meridian. If you go north about a 15-minute drive, you find yourself at Eagle Island County Park. There's a better time. It's better to go there weekday. The weekends, if there's ball fields there, it gets really crowded. But if you take a walk around the Oxbow Lake that's there, it's not very big. Buick, our last trip there, we had Buick's red and full cry. Not uncommon bird out there in April and May, and trying to find a mate. Also, Sue picked up a male yellow warbler along the willows and trees there along the shoreline. I'm going to leave there. That was, we're going to move on now to Camas National Wildlife Refuge, a non-breeding white-faced ibis. Camas is an aquatic refuge, if you will, wetlands, a pair of young. We were there. This is September No, it's not either. I forget the month. It was 2018, but it was August 2018. A pair of young horned grebes, black-necked stilt, working the shallows. My favorite young birds is the young of the year pied-bill grebe. They eat with the flowers there, and then as we came off the drive, we had 7, 8 common nighthawks flying about, eating insects. This one landed and gave Sue the opportunity to get a shot or two off of it. We had peregrine falcon there, western grebe, just a whole host of other birds that I don't have time to show you, but very interesting place to visit in the eastern end of the plain, where all that water goes into the ground. Also, if you're there in this fall, this is a staging area for Wilson's warbler, and it's known for attracting thousands of Wilson's warblers, I guess, before they head to their wintering grounds. So, True Blood Wildlife Management Area, that's I showed you Southwest 25, that blue sign I showed you earlier. A nice white crowned sparrow. There's uplands there to be walked. We devoted most of our time to a blind. They have a big blind there for watching out over their wetlands that they manage. This is not, I think this is the constructed habitat there, but while we were sitting there watching the birds at a distance, a flock of white-faced ibis came in and landed. They joined the other birds. You've got the American white pelican there, California gull, the white-faced ibis, great egrets, in the foreground there on the left that aren't in focus. And I believe there's even avocet and black-necked stilt in the upper areas that are out of focus as well. So, Deer Flat National Wildlife Refuge, about a half-hour drive west of Boise on Lake Lowell, the refuge is a series of patches of ground adjoining the lake, and several of the national wildlife refuges out there are mostly water. So Lake Lowell has an island in it that in the fall, if you hit it right, the water line's down, it's supposed to be really good for shorebirds. We didn't see an island when we were there, but again, the western meadowlark in full cry. This particular area, and I'm not sure if it's, but one of my most memorable birding moments is the morning we set out and stopped at a trailhead to look for birds and what have you, and got out of the car. There were 4 or 5 of these birds all calling at the same time. It was quite a melodious moment. We did find shorebirds there though, and we found them along the shore. The western sandpiper in your lower left, you can hopefully see the orange scapulas on the long-billed bird to the left. Shorter-billed bird to the right is a least sandpiper with its brown chest. No trip out there around water is complete without a western grebe. We found these camas here, just about anywhere. There was a waterfowl population. Really neat bird. There are Clark's grebe out there as well. A little bit different head plumage, but female western tanager. We had a male on our last trip, but he was too difficult. That's your photographer shaking there. Too hard to stay up with, and he was too bent on getting to his breeding ground. He wouldn't hang around for us, but beautiful bird. The female, of course, the yellow chest. And the area around Lake Lowell receives irrigation water from the lake. They raise a lot of seed there for planting, and this was a field of sunflowers, lesser goldfinch. This is the place to be a lesser goldfinch. Lots of food. Okay, Gamble's quail at Fort Boise Wildlife. California's, thank you. You're slipping up here. My bad. California quail, I can't even read. It's Fort Boise Wildlife Management Area. This is on the river. This is in the western end of the river where the gorge is all but absent. We stopped in one afternoon, very quickly walked around, didn't see much, got in the car to leave, and up pops a male California quail and posed for Sue while she got this picture. Really neat bird. You see a lot of these out there. Rock wren at Box Canyon Springs Nature Preserve. I wanted to show you Box Canyon Springs, but I don't think time is going to allow. At any rate, we dropped it, but rock wrens are not uncommon in the sparse vegetation that we found. American white pelican at Mendocino National Wildlife Refuge, another lake refuge, if you will. A lot of cormorants there. American white pelicans in the river. This is actually in the Snake River. A dusky flycatcher, Montour Wildlife Management Area. It was hanging around the parking lot. There's a check mark.
Yeah, it's Wes, that artifact has been in each and every slide, and I have no idea what it is, where it is.
It's perfectly all right. The problem is, can everyone see the eyebrow tufts that are sticking out from the eyes of this little bird? We really didn't notice this until we got home and started looking at photographs. So he had been flitting around the shrubbery where we parked. We took his picture. We went off, found some quail and a rufous dwarf red-tailed hawk, and came back. Got in the car, leave, and he's still hanging around. So Sue took some more pictures of him, and it's only the ones that we took the second time that we actually pick up these little eyebrow tufts sticking off that are really neat.
And a green check mark.
And
And a green check mark.
It wasn't until today that you saw the green check mark.
So, Lewis's woodpecker. This is CJ Strike Wildlife Management Area. We stopped at the visitor center / office. The guy in there said, "Well, da 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 da. Go down to the shop area and look for the Lewis's woodpecker I saw down there because it doesn't belong here." Now, we didn't have too much trouble finding Lewis's where they belong, so they're fairly common. But what is difficult is actually showing you their color, because they have a very subtle red color to themselves. It's a beautiful bird, and this afternoon light just brings it out. At the time, we were shooting with a 200mm lens, probably with a converter on it, but we didn't have our longer focal point lenses, and even so, it's still a very neat bird. Okay, Swan Falls. If you're in the Boise area and you've got the time to do it, and you only have time to go to one place, and probably best during the migration, this is the place to go. This is a common golden eye. Swan Falls is a dam. It's on the Snake River. We're standing up on top of the gorge, looking down at it. Everything you see there is open to the public, except the buildings. But you can walk across the dam there. It's a great place for rough-winged swallows. The trees in the foreground are old cottonwoods. There's got to be a great horned owl nest in there somewhere, but I've yet to find it. It's not because I haven't looked. But those are picnicking grounds down there, parking lots. As soon as you drive in, there's a really nice restroom there. And this is a sink, a migrant sink or migrant trap for birds moving along the river because of the old growth trees that are there. You can see downriver. You're moving north. You'd be going probably downriver, going to breeding ground. The vegetation gets sparser, but it's also willow and short scrubby materials. Also, this is the kickoff point for a scenic drive. Goes down the river, and that white line you see along the river's edge is open. You drive that. I think it might be as long as 12 miles. So you get down inside that scenery and see what's along the river. You can bird the river, and I think it's everything I wanted to say. This is also the place you're going to find waterfowl. And if you're there any number of days, you want to check it almost daily. Our first trip there, we had a flight of pintail ducks fly over. Going up or down? Upriver, okay. This last time we were there, we had apparently an injured ruddy duck. That or he's got his tail up in a huff. I'm not sure which, but the really nice. Some of these photos, this equipment doesn't do them justice, but that's the nature of the beast. Lingering snow goose gives you some idea of what had to come through there. I'm not sure we always found one there. And the highlight for our last trip for our visit there, and I'm not sure he was there the first day, but he was there the second or third, is a redneck grebe in full breeding plumage. Red coot, what you saw there, this is where we had the male tanager, western tanager, and there's always other birds about to be seen there. So western magpies are common there because of the picnic grounds, but we've seen them elsewhere along the river. And to go upriver, you got a shot of the canyon wren. This is some of that basalt. It may even be a melon gravel that rolled there. I'm not sure, but it's cracked and all fractured. And the bird obviously had some interest in that cavity. So, okay, Celebration Park is downriver, a number of miles, scenic area. The gorge is getting shallower at this point. It's known for its petroglyphs. If you're in any archaeology or what have you, the melon gravel there, a lot of them have Indian artwork carved or etched on them. This is also the location of the golden eagle nest I showed you earlier. Western kingbird, we sit down for a half hour or so along the river there, and the willows on a bench, and we picked up this western kingbird. Whether he's moving or not, I don't know, but the other thing we found, this little fella, and you get so tired of seeing the common, butterbutts, yellow-rumped warblers around here in winter plumage, and you find a bird like this, you think you found something, and it turns out it's a butterbutt. This is an Audubon, so right. This is the Western Audubon's yellow-rumped warbler, and really neat. He was working that willow, and a nice find. Okay, so I think we're doing all right. World Center of Birds of Prey, the Peregrine Fund, just outside of Boise, and it's a place to visit if you want. It's not particularly cheap. It was $18 a head to get in. There are grounds there you can walk. They're fairly sparse. It's up on a knoll. We've always had a Swain's hawk flying overhead when we've been there. They have quite a few injured captive birds for you to view, both indoors and in outdoor aviaries. There's a display devoted to Morley Nelson, which we were for good reason, I think. And just a neat place to visit. I'd say go on a rainy day, but I don't think there's any rainy days out there. So you just got to give up a good day to go visit it. About a half a day is plenty. You can do it in an hour or two. They do live bird talks. I'm not sure when they're scheduled, whether just on weekends or every day, but they'll bring out a live bird for you to see. And one of their aviaries, that their big one that they show off their pair of California condors that are there for you to look at. So trip to the zoo. Okay, moving right along. How many of you guys remember Marty Stauffer, or are willing to admit you remember who Marty Stauffer is? Wild America? Yeah, I hear Wild America. All right, well, Moreland, notice Morley Nelson is the gentleman that brought the live animals onto the stage, so to speak. He presented the golden eagles and what have you, whenever they had it live. And he also is instrumental in developing the technology and mechanics of putting protection on the utility poles out there to protect the big birds from electrocuting themselves when they land on perches. So this is a distant Swainson's hawk, and the Oahe Mountains in the background. Typical view for watching raptors in this area. So let me give you some orientation here. This is the combination of a number of different landowners. Oases up here, Meridian is right in here, quick drive down to Kuna and then onto Swan Falls Road. And you're basically right where you want to be for watching and seeing this area. They do have a drive laid out for you, but it's all concentrated right here. And this actually area is closed to shooting. The rest of the area is open to shooting. So I'm not sure what that meant, whether it was hunting or whatever, but at any rate, Swan Falls that I showed you is right here. Celebration Park is right here. Dedication Point is where we'll end up. An initial point is where we'll start, but this is the area that you most likely will have, we know you'll have good success in here. Any of the roads that are associated with us, we even had raptors. That opening picture that I showed you of the Rufus Swainson's hawk was actually taken out in this area right here. So, this is a view from the initial point, which is a volcanic butte. It's not a bad walk up. It's only a couple 100 feet high. We had a pair of red-tailed hawks that are apparently nesting there, and they held close by while we were up there looking around. But this gives you an overview of the plain, and you can sit there and watch. We had a prairie falcon go by while we were up there. The roads, for the most part, this one was a little rough because it just went to initial point, but the Swan Falls Road is in excellent condition. It has really wide shoulders, and you can pull off anytime, anywhere. On the hills, you have to be a little careful, but you could get well off the roads, and the traffic was next to nil. So you had the place to yourself. Now, we talked about the cliffs of the gorge providing nesting habitat. Well, you've got to feed your young, and there's almost 30 different species of rodent that fill a niche or use the niches of the Snake River Plain. So it's the abundance of rodents that make this place so successful. Problem is that the rodents estivate. Estivation is a torpor state that these four-legged critters go into when it gets hot and dry. So if you're there when it's hot and dry, they're not there, they're in the ground, and the raptors aren't there either. And that was our problem in September. April and May, bingo. So we think this might be a Paiute ground squirrel. I'm not sure why, but with 39 critters to choose from. But pair of yellow-bellied marmots. This is on a bell and gravel down in the gorge floor. Sitting there waiting to be plucked off. I'm not sure why. And there's one less Ord's kangaroo rat. We think it's an Ord's because there's only one kangaroo rat that we could find out there. And if you look at it closely, you can see the tail and the long rear legs. So we think we've got a kangaroo rat. So at any rate, that's a red tail flying off with its breakfast or lunch, whichever. Anything out there, anything that's elevated can be a nesting site. This is a man-made tree by one of the farms. There's a post holding up what you see there as a tree. You can see probably the wire that's been added to, well, my apologies. You can see the wire. Here. It's wire here. This is a cage here that the nest is in. We stopped. The pair was not happy with us. We took some pictures and moved on. But if you're out there driving around any abandoned farmstead, any active farmstead really, Anything that's got a tree in it is a place you're gonna find a nest for Swainson's or in this case, a red-tailed hawk. The other thing you're looking for are you all see the gray splotches on the ground, active, that's active burrowing, all right, by the rodents, and that's where you want to be. This is a female prairie falcon working the what may be a prairie dog town. I have no idea what rodent this is, but we had multiple sightings in this area. This is right off the road. We pull off, park, get out of the car, and stand there and look. And all the pictures I'm going to show you were taken from the car in a matter of steps. Kestrels were common, but near civilization. I think the prairie falcons probably keep them at bay. The beautiful male, and I had to show you this picture off male off of a sign. And again, the projectors aren't doing it justice, but they're so clean, they're so neat, they're so pure in color. It's amazing how this bird took off from a road sign near the Peregrine Fund site and hovered for us, and so we got a picture of it. Red-tailed hawk sitting on one of the outcroppings, and I wanted to quickly go through, if I can, keep moving here. This looks like our Easter bird. This could be a boreal northern red-tailed hawk, but you should be forewarned if you're birding out there, because you're going to see that. You're going to see a light morph western red-tailed hawk. You can get a rufous red-tailed hawk, and I don't have a dark morph red-tailed hawk to show you. That's one thing we didn't get, but all these birds were taken the 5 days we were out there, so you encounter them all. Really neat, beautiful animals. And this is a pair of rufous Swainson's hawks copulating, a pile of manure and straw, but you go through the same process with them. So here's a rufous morph hunting, getting ready to lock it on a rodent of some kind. But this is the light morph. As close as I could get. A good example wouldn't have those few streaks on the belly. It'd be almost pure white. But here's the rufous morph of the Swainson's hawk. And there's a dark morph of the Swainson's hawk. And these are all out there together, flying around, to add to our confusion and perhaps yours. But really neat. This bird we saw a lot of because he was hunting a fence line the whole time. Immature red-tailed hawk, year old. If you look at the tail, you can see the worn feathers on the tail. Immature Swainson's hawk, same thing with the tail feathers being worn. Not an immature hawk. So anybody want to take a guess?
Says it right there.
It does say it up there. We thought we'd missed this bird Thursday afternoon. We were talking, we haven't seen a ferruginous hawk. So actually we filmed this bird on Tuesday, but Sue was shooting with Swainson's, and I said, Sue, get a shot of that bird before it gets by. And she took a picture of it. I never identified it, and we went on our merry way. So we had this bird in our data bank, and we didn't know that what it was. But this bird came by Friday afternoon and made it was bird of the trip for us. So it one set, so to speak, but big beauty, nests on the plain and big mouth. That's why its head is a little bit odd shaped when they're perched. Their mouth is so large that it's large so they can swallow their prey whole. They don't have to worry about guarding it for fending off. So they have a very large mouth, big beauty, and a rare one for us in our travels, but neat find. Beautiful male marsh hawk working the plain. Saw several of those. This golden eagle was perched on one of the perches. You'll notice the whitewash. A lot of this is lichen, but you'll see the streaks. That's all whitewash birds taking off. We were watching him, and long-billed curlew flew in. Well, actually, 3 of them flew in, and now that they flew in, they sat down beside us. So we're watching these guys for a while, and we went back and watched the golden eagle, and he was gone. We found he had taken off, so we stayed with him, and Sue got this shot off. And Earp, he didn't turn around to come and take a look at us. So we got, even better shots of him in close proximity. Horned larks, not uncommon out there, keep an eye out for them. Obviously, if you're looking for hawks, you're not looking for horned larks, but they're about. This one was nice find. And then real quickly, we had a murmur of swallows off in the distance. We went looking for it. Found this. Only that's only a part of it. So obviously, we're looking at a colony of bank swallows. The thing is, if you can see them or not, but those holes stretch the full length of the picture. So there was at least 500 in the murmur we saw, and we couldn't get the murmur after we saw it begin with, but really neat colony. They do everything big in the West. I don't know. So, okay, not doing too bad. Dedication point, if you're a hawk watcher, this is everything you want. You walk down to it, you don't walk up to it. It's only a 15-minute walk to the car. It's a restroom up with the car is parked. You sail in beautiful scenery. This doesn't begin to capture looking down river, which is spectacular. Neat place to watch raptors, but also while we were there, we had a rock wren eyeing launch. I see the flying insect up there that he's trying to get to. You're constantly, I would say that at half-hour intervals or maybe 15-minute intervals, you've got white-shinned swifts and violet-green swallows buzzing by you at 60 mile an hour. It's like, what was that? So they're very difficult to photograph because you can't anticipate them, and when they're there, they're gone. So another neat thing to do while watching for your raptors. And we're going to finish up the night with what was probably our target species, 1/5 of the prairie falcons in the United States and therefore in the world, because they're only found in North America. Nest here. So we had no trouble finding them, seeing them during the breeding season. This is a distant look at one. Everyone can find it in there. It's not a great shot, I know, but this is typical hawk watching from Dedication Point. Here's a closer look at the female coming by. Multiple shots of her down there. The cameras are just click, 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 click. At any rate, she got up at eye level. You can tell it's a female with the dark armpits and the black undertail, underwing coverts there. Really neat, close encounter there. And at one point, she turned and banked her, gave us a different view of her. So that's it. Birding in the Snake River Plain. More sharp working the. So.
Thank you, Greg.
Questions, answers.
Thank you, Trish. I'm just getting up.
I knew that was coming up. We, our sage grouse effort would have been on the second visit, and we were doing like 3 sites a day. So no, we didn't stumble on any, but a lot of what we were doing was pulling in, getting out, maybe do a short trail here or something like that. And really much of what I showed you from the butte, the initial point, all that was open to foot traffic. So people would drive out across the plain or whatever, and certainly you can go look for them, but I'm not sure that we didn't set that as a target species and go after that.
Enjoy your geology.
Geology was fun, yeah. I spent much of my career dealing with shallow groundwater, and seeing that kind of water behavior is really neat. Yeah.
Is that anywhere near Craters of the Moon?
Yes.
That Snake River
That
area?
first shot I showed you of the lava with the pigeon, that's Craters of the Moon. And I had pictures to show you,
Okay,
but yeah, it's not, it's a lunar landscape. Really neat place, very scenic, graphic, and although when we were there, we had the forest fires to the north, and it was murky as well. So, but really neat spot. Not a great spot for birding. That it?
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Doug. Thanks a lot. Sue, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming. Wouldn't surprise you to know that we have another meeting next month, and our speaker at that one is gonna be Russ Ruffing for birding in Colombia, South America, the other Colombia. That promises to be a great one too. Hope